This is what death is. I know I can see some of you crying because we know, because we feel it. Because it's part of the reality that we live in. Why? Why do you mourn? Why do you hurt? Why are you so sad? Because it's not the way it ought to be. You understand that? Because death is not the way that it ought to be. Inside, deep down, intuitively, we know that it's not right, that it's wrong. Something's wrong. It's not the way it should be. Why? That's why we hurt so much. That's why we mourn so much. Because death was foreign to us. Originally, we think, it's natural. It's natural. Yeah, it's natural in the context we're living in now, but it's not natural. God said, you will live, but the day you eat of this, you will die. Before they took that fruit and ate of it, there was only life. There wasn't death. So death is something that's been introduced. Death is something that's foreign. Death is something that's outside of the way it ought to be, right? That's why. That's a big reason why we mourn. That's a big reason why we're sad, because it shouldn't be this way. It ought not be this way. Why is it like this? It's not natural. It is now. In the sense, it's not natural in the sense that it wasn't always this way. Death speaks to that. It also speaks, and this is important, and we're going to talk much more about this next week, our alienation from God who made us. Right? It's a consequence. It's a punishment for our sin and our fallenness. That's what death is also as well. And it shows us every time there's death, I don't care where you see it, even the beautiful leaves, and they're so cool in the fall colors. In 2 weeks, you're going to hate those leaves because they're going to be brown and crunchy and you can't sit because it's dead. Right? Because death is around us. And our death speaks our alienation from God as a consequence for sin and our need for redemption. That's why we do this. That's why I'm here this morning. That's why we preach the word. That's why we preach the gospel. This is not a game that we're playing. We're going to talk much more about the consequence of death next week and the seriousness of that, beyond just the feeling hurt, beyond just the generalness of what we're talking about today. But it stings us, doesn't it? It hurts us. We're afraid of it. We fear it. It brings great sadness to us. Now, if we were left here, if we were left just there, if I just ended the sermon now and walked out, you would be totally bummed out, and I could agree, because that would be a bad place to be left, wouldn't it? And yet so many people are. If we left here, if this was it, if this were all that there was to it, then yes, there would be only sorrow, man. There would be only pain, and there would be only helplessness. And apart from Christ, that's what this is. Some people might placate themselves. We placate ourselves with these platitudes about those people, and we give thoughts, what we think or we hope comes after this life, what life may be like, but ultimately that is empty. Talk to anybody who doesn't know Christ and they really don't know. They're just kind of hoping and wishing and, wondering and maybe, and I hope there's something more. That's why Christ is so beautiful. That's why the gospel is so important. That's why we need this. Because apart from the Lord, there's an emptiness, and you won't have real comfort because you're not really going to know. Do you understand? And as hard as death is for us, for all of us, I don't care if you're a Christian or not, and we know what we know, it still hurts. It's still painful. But for those in Christ, we're not without hope.